Hello and welcome to the Kentucky Today podcast. I'm Lawrence Smith, the editor of Kentucky Today. Here is an alarming number. Kentucky ranks number 4 in the nation in cases of child abuse and neglect. That's almost double the national average. There's a Kentucky Baptist organization trying to rescue and restore those kids. I sat down with Dale Suttles, president of Sunrise Children's Services, as it launches its annual Thanksgiving offering, which helps provide resources to provide hope for Kentucky's most vulnerable. I want to get to the Thanksgiving offering for Sunrise soon, but first, I want to try to catch people up on those who may not know what Sunrise is and what Sunrise does. Start with that if you don't mind.
Well, Lawrence, we've been around for over 155 years. Started out with 4 bold women that wanted to make a dramatic, profound impact in Louisville, Kentucky, out of Walnut Street Baptist Church in 1869, and wanted to help youth after the Civil War. Lots of stuff going on, a lot of orphans, and just set out on this journey that over time, 155 years, it became the Louisville Orphanage, Louisville Baptist Orphanage. A couple other names, Kentucky Baptist Homes for Children and Sunrise, which I always say we're still Kentucky Baptist Homes for Children. It's just we have the name Sunrise. So we've been around a long time, really touched the lives of so many people. It's I say this, and I mean it sincerely. It's not a week that goes by I'm not pumping gas somewhere if I've got a Sunrise shirt on, and someone will come up and tell me their story. How they have been positively impacted by this ministry over the years.
Yeah, your ministry is to help really some of the state's most vulnerable children. And I want to get to that specifically in a minute, but I want to start with something that's going on in the news, and that's the uncertainty over SNAP benefits, the Supplemental Nutrition and Assistance Program that's funded by the federal government. And there's debate over whether that can be funded while the government is shut down. Talk about how that affects the people that you serve.
Well, first of all, Lawrence, just in a general overview of the SNAP program, there is no reason that a program that affects so many people, 42 million people across not only the Commonwealth, but the United States, should be down under. You can argue day and night of whether this person deserves it or not, but the fact of the matter remains is that people have been used to that, and that's been their pipeline for food, and now it's gone. It's not going to affect what we do in our residential facilities where we take care of some of our most vulnerable children. It will affect some of our foster parents for sure. We have a counseling service that we work with families that live in poverty with children. And we have that service there to try to keep those families together so that they don't break apart and end up in the system. And a lot of those families are very much on edge, experiencing a lot of anxiety because they simply don't know where they're going to have the money to put the food on the table for these children. Far too often, the squabbles that we have, and I realize we've got to have squabbles, but it comes down to affecting children. And at that point, you got to find a way to fund these programs. So don't know where this is going to go. I know there's some money appropriated. I think that it's trying to figure out the mechanism that can trigger that. But it's certainly going to be hurtful across this nation, and it will affect Sunrise too.
Well, we certainly pray that this gets resolved in a way that the most vulnerable, the most needy people, including those that you serve, are helped. And you help
Amen,
people. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, amen, brother.
So what's the latest initiative? What are you guys working on right now?
So, the good Lord's blessed us with opportunities. And of course, with those opportunities, you got to put forth some hard work to make it happen. But we've got quite a few things going on. For a couple of years, we've talked about, even you and I have talked about, there's just a lack of services or a lack of beds across the state. The system's overloaded. Okay. This is a system where we do not have, and let's be honest, We don't have enough moms and dads who are the parents of these children raising their children in a capable way. It is to the point now because of substance abuse, because of lots of different stuff that the system has cracked, and there's so many children coming into the system, not enough beds, not enough places where they can go. So you've heard the stories of state parks and state offices, so on. Um, a lot of that is true, and just trying to find a way to handle capacity. So, what we tried to do at Sunrise is we tried to answer some of the calls the best we could, and the ways we are doing that. One, with foster care, and we're always proud of our foster to adopt. Lawrence, we just went over, or I think last Friday had our 718th adoption. Really proud of that, and proud of that. But we've been going to selective areas where there's a real need. We were in Paducah in Western Kentucky a couple weeks ago, canvassing the area, recruiting foster parents, doing radio and TV, and doing some PSAs, putting the little yard signs out, and visited with many of our churches down there, our AMSs. A couple of AMSs come by at lunch we were having, and they took just a boatload of signs, and so we were canvassing to get that done, and we're trying to do that throughout the state. We're not real big on yard signs, but there's such a need right now. We need families, and so we're making an effort to get that done. Some other things that we're doing, our residential program in Danville for some of the most acute children between the age of 6 and 18. This is a program that is a high level psychological unit. We partner with University of Kentucky Psychology Department, Dr. Simon there, and these are kids that have been traumatized in some of the worst ways. Well, a waiting list of about 162 kids to get in that program, and so we have been working to renovate an existing building on that campus called the Sanders Center. We have raised about $800,000 to renovate that, turn that into a 9-bed unit, that we will be able to receive more of those children. We are waiting on the final piece of an inspection for that, and then we will be able to start taking kids in an additional 9. And the one thing we're looking at that campus is that we have the room to expand, and in this program you have to have buildings that have 9 beds in it per regulation. So we have to do that right, and so we'll probably be looking to add another 9 beds at some point, which would be a new building project. But certainly I think it's needed, and what we see in these children there in the stories. Lawrence, we've had a kid that was taken to Kings Island for a fun trip and abandoned and left because the kid was autistic. Left at Kings Island, wandered around all day until the park closed, and finally officials found this young man, and he ends up at the PRTF in Danville. So just some of the worst cases of abuse that you would hear. But we know we've been commissioned and challenged to do this, and so 9 more beds. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it'll make a difference. Another thing we're doing is in Springfield, Kentucky, called One Bridge to Hope. Very excited about this. This is, again, something that God just brought in our lap. A program that was trying to get off the ground, never could. It is actually a partnership with the nuns there at the old St. Catherine campus, who's in possession of, there's some nuns that live on campus there. They're stationed there. Most of them are elderly. And they have possession of some old dormitories. And we were able to take a dormitory for $1 a year, lease at $1 a year. Todd Gray said he would pay that. I'm going to come collect. But but what we're going to be able to do there is work with kids in the Department of Juvenile Justice. And these will be females, and as a means of diversion, not to go to jail or not to go to detention. They can come to Sunrise, and there they can receive some of the help they need, partnering with the local school system to have schooling, um, being able to do some creative things, psychologically, spiritually, to see where these kids at. And a lot of these girls, some of these girls will be girls that have been sex trafficked. And so, what people don't know, two facts about that: 65% of the girls or boys in Kentucky that are sex trafficked are done so by their parents or by a guardian, and they're done so to get payment. So another thing that people just don't realize is once these kids have kind of turned into teenagers, whoever is doing the sex trafficking sort of becomes their family. They get used to what's happening. They don't know any other life. And so at One Bridge to Hope, it is truly a one bridge to a different hope. And we know where that hope stands, and that's where we want these kids to go to see a better life and to have a better chance. And so we're excited about One Bridge to Hope. Just got our first kid last Monday. We're going to take our second kid this Thursday. So we're really excited about the potential about where that could go to. Solid Rock is a project we've been working on in Winchester, Kentucky. There is such a need for teenagers in the foster system who are often overlooked. Why? Because they're teenagers. They've experienced trauma, they come with baggage, but over time, it's like I use the analogy: when you go into the store, you've got the perfect can of peaches, you've got the bent can of peaches, you always go for the perfect can of peaches. But if you put a little effort into that dent can of peaches, the taste when you get in there is just the same. So these kids are overlooked, but they can be reached. And so what we're doing is through the help of a great Kentucky Baptist friend who has built two houses for us there in Winchester, and they're built in a way that makes sense. A caretaker unit on one side, four bedrooms on the other side, with the capacity large enough to house two kids. So what we are going to do there is recruit two sets of foster parents to give us a 2-year mission commitment. If you're thinking about going overseas, if you're thinking about this, maybe think about staying here in the States, and think about taking teenagers who would have nowhere to go. Or these houses can be used to keep larger sibling groups together. Sibling groups, I'm talking of 4 to 8, that typically is hard to place because that's tough to do with the typical home. So we have built these houses in that way, 100% paid for by Kentucky Baptist donor. We're very proud of what this can do. A real cool aspect of this is we just recently had a documentary filmed there. And this documentary, the host of the documentary, it's called Empowered with Meg Ryan. So it's actress Meg Ryan who took an interest on this foster care model, I guess simply by scrolling and doing some investigating, and they wanted to do something on Sunrise in this particular program. So excited about what God's done there. Again, we don't go out and seek this stuff. We know how this happens, and we're very grateful to the good Lord for these opportunities. Another large project that we're doing is we have a program called Cumberland Adventure Program. That is an old camp for boys that it is a residential housing unit for some of our tough boys just a little south of Somerset. 4 cabins that are about 35 years old, and those cabins are just about shot. When we had the straight line winds in August or in April that come through with some of the tornadoes in that area, really did some damage. Not roof damage and not overt damage, but just cosmetically really took a beating on these places. They weren't built for the kids that we have, so we're going to completely tear down every cabin down there, and we're going to rebuild them with a metal building. Instead of having 4 teenagers in one room, in one bedroom, now teenagers, we're going to have per cabin 6 rooms, two per bedroom. We're going to increase our capacity from 25 boys to 56 boys, and that's a way we can make a real impact. Also, we need classrooms, so we're going to build a multi-purpose metal building gymnasium with classrooms where these boys can go and have an on-site recreation center. They can have they can go to school, partnering with Pulaski County Schools, go to school right there on the campus, which we currently do. And the old metal building where they go to school, we're going to put carpentry stuff in there. We're going to put welding machines. We're going to put stuff, electrical stuff, where we can have partner with the community college, and they can come in and start planting seeds of how these boys can turn their lives around and make money. And get some sort of an idea of what a trade could look like for them. Um, we partner with a lot of churches down there. We have a lot of our boys that spiritually come to Christ. They get baptized. This is a way of bringing everything together because obviously far too often kids get to 18 and they don't have anywhere to go. Well, what we want to do is we want these kids prepared to have that next step for them. So that's going to be a pretty big project. There are other projects involved. Uh, uh, Finishing the building down in Harlan that sits right downtown in Harlan, where we can have a foster care program. But upstairs, we've gutted the whole upstairs, and we can go in there and do 6 apartments. Lawrence, on any given day in Harlan, Kentucky, per my attorney friend, on any given day, 400 kids will be sleeping from couch to couch, teenagers down in Harlan, because their families are torn apart by drugs. And so these kids who want to make a way, they're sleeping from couch to couch anywhere they can go. We believe we can take these 6 apartments with 2 bedrooms apiece. We can take 12 kids, and we can work with them and guide them through a process down there in Harlan, Kentucky. So little bits and pieces here and there, just trying to do what we can do. And it won't be long, I believe, before we'll probably sign a contract in the state of Indiana to do foster care and independent living in the state of Indiana. So lots of stuff going on. God's made this happen. We just heed the call and try to do the work the best we can.
Dale, my head is spinning. First, the need, then the amount of trauma these young people are experiencing, but then the blessing Sunrise is to them. But it takes money. And I know Kentucky Baptists support Sunrise through the Cooperative Program. Talk about the blessing to Sunrise, that base of support is and has been.
It's unbelievable, Lawrence. It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, when we were going through our fights with the government to be who we are, to hold on to our deeply held religious beliefs, basically there was a couple of months the only income we had was from Kentucky Baptists just to stay open. um, Kentucky Baptists have always been there, and I believe the Baptist Home for Children has always held a special place in the hearts of Kentucky Baptists. Um, it's enormous. When you do as someone that would sit down and work on a budget, if you can write a number down in that budget and not have to worry about it and not have to worry about going out and finding that money, it is huge when you are doing a ministry of this size, when you're dealing with lives, which we are. um, Being a part of the cooperative program, we have been partners, and we wanted to remain partners. That's why we did what we did with our fight. Those dollars are so important. Some of these dollars are trickling down to the things that we're doing now. Future dollars will trickle down to help pay for these things. Lawrence, a big thing we don't talk about, and that I like to talk about, is that the need for staff and how tough these jobs are, that our staff, that we pay, and they should be paid, we don't pay near enough. They do it out of a ministry, but people have to live too. People have to buy bread and butter and eggs, and it's hard. And so, you know, these dollars help us project and help us be able to take care of some staff from time to time, that because that's what we need. We can't do what we do with robots. We can't do what we do with AI. That's never going to help us. It is the hands and feet of Jesus that will reach these kids, and you only do that through humans, right? So it's cool that folks can work here and get paid to do and all, but their job is so hard. So those cooperative program dollars are so essential to what we do, so important. Would we like for them to grow? Absolutely. Would we like for more churches to be involved? Absolutely. But I will tell you this, and as a big advocate of CP, I would like it just for everything that CP is funding. As I was talking to Brother Todd the other day, we really need to have respite and take care of our ministers the best way we can. Think about that. What if, just what if we were doing the what if game, what if we had no ministers in Kentucky? It would be anarchy. There would be no rule of law. There would be no moral code. But yet the minister today is the minister, is the HR director, is the fundraiser, is the marketing person, um, is the landscaping. We got to put a bush here and put flowers here. And if you got 400 members, you got 400 bosses. It's a tough job. It's a tough, and I don't say that in a jokingly way. I mean, I'm just, it is what it is. It is a tough job, and we need to have programs to encourage our ministers. Um, and if you look at the other agencies and institutions, other than Sunrise, Clear Creek, Bible College, Crossings, Oneida, WMU. These are world class nonprofits that are making a profound impact. It's the cooperation of everyone in the Commonwealth to come together and just do a little more so those CP dollars can do more. It takes dollars, unfortunately. And so, we're so appreciative of what our churches do. Um, but we need to look at our other agencies and institutions. We need to look at our ministers and how we can support the church. And we only do that if we can all grow together and if we can all give together.
Well,
So
as
the
Dr. Gray
question
has
is, it's
said,
very important.
we want every Kentucky Baptist church to be a thriving church and every pastor to be a cared for pastor. And that is
Absolutely.
done through our cooperation together. But now we come to the Thanksgiving offering, which Sunrise does every year. Talk about that and how that helps you do what you do.
Yes. Thanksgiving offering is our one chance every year that we get to go to our churches, our partners, our churches, that they can take a collection up for Sunrise, for the ministries of Sunrise, to do what we do, to all these things that we are doing, and so important. And we only give materials, and we only hope and pray that many folks will get involved. But as to when you do that, it's called the Thanksgiving offering because there's a lot of history behind that. It was tied into the old Glendale farm down there in E-Town. And part of that was an old poster from a little kid that was walking like a hobo, and it said, "Just give one day's pay." So, and that's kind of how it started. If everyone in the pew could just give one day's pay, or just give 1 hour's pay. When it comes to Thanksgiving offering, a lot of people doing a little bit adds up a lot because it's numbers. It's just numbers. And if we can take that and we can do so much more. Thanksgiving offering, you can run, any church can run that at any time you want, take up that collection. Obviously, it's what best fits the church. But the Thanksgiving offering has always been thrown in around Christmas time, Thanksgiving holiday. Some folks do it in January. Some folks do it on Mother or Father's Day. It's really a campaign that goes throughout the year, but only one collection per church. They just figure out the best time for them. But certainly, as we get more people involved, it's more kids we will reach. And I think we have told folks that's what we're going to try to do, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Willing on this, Dale, I know that Sunrise does what it does for the sake of the gospel.
Yes.
And you mentioned this earlier. It's highly likely that these young people are being helped, obviously, emotionally, physically, mentally, but spiritually. They're going to hear the gospel.
Yes, yes, yeah. There's a lot of spiritual warfare going on with these children in their lives. They're no different from you and me. All they want to know is that they have a daddy that loves them and will take care of them in the end. That's what they want to know. They need hope. They've had no hope, or they've had hope in false ways. um, it takes a bit to reach these kids. It really does, and you got to do it in a different way because they've been traumatized. You got to do it in a different way. Uh, but I think last year we had 38 baptisms. We had 40 kids that committed to Christ. I'd like to see that number up there a bit. And but we have to do it in a different way as we're working with these traumatized kids, because their mind is just not fully formed where it should be because of all the trauma and everything. And I will say this with us, we've got to take care of our staff too. One of the really cool things that we're doing on our campuses, and we just did a trial run at the Danville campus because that is such a tough job. But my good friend Dan Russell, who retired from Emmanuel Baptist in Lexington, uh, uh, they call him Uncle Dan. He's been going down there for 2 years. And when I approached him, I said, I want you to go down and be a spiritual mentor, be a buddy, just listen to folks. He said, for the kids, I said, oh no, for the adults, for the people that work there. And because some days they're spit on, some days they're cussed at, some days, because these kids, that's all they've known. And uh, uh, to listen to the leadership down there talking glowing remarks about how the staff gravitates to Uncle Dan. And he loves it. So so we're trying to do things spiritually for our staff too, and it has worked. People have come to tears and said, I'm worn out. My life's a wreck. I want to give it all up. And so we're looking to do that on all of our campus now, because not only do we got to give to our kids, but we really need to support our staff who are hit upside the head every day. So very proud of that too. Cooperative program will pay for that.
Dale, as you mentioned, this is spiritual warfare. So Kentucky Baptist will be praying for you, praying for Sunrise, and God bless you guys and what you do.
God bless you all. Thank you, Lawrence, for this. And CP works. Let's take it to another level.
You can read stories about the impact Sunrise is having right here on Kentucky Today. And while you're there, sign up for our daily email, morning briefing. And for more on the Kentucky Baptist Convention and the Cooperative Program, which makes this program possible, go to kybaptist.org. Lord willing, we'll see you next time on the Kentucky Today podcast.